Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to paint a thistle. But first I wanted to go through my little journal here. It's kind of a little journal, I don't know. I just bought it on Amazon. It's nothing spectacular. It's 100% cotton, 140 pound. There's only 30 sheets in here and it was really cheap. I think it was like $6 on Amazon. So sometimes when you're just practicing, you just don't need to use the better quality paper. So although I have painted on this, and I do have to say, it was actually pretty good. I did like it. It held up really well. So I had painted a little rose, I had painted a little clover, but in orange. I had done a little organic shaped floral over here. So I might be showing these in videos that are coming up. I had done a coneflower, a cornflower, a black-eyed Susan, and I had done a daisy and a peony I just showed you last week. So if you want to catch that video, that one's from last week. A hydrangea and a foxglove, which I love these flowers. These are awesome. I'm going to do a little workshop on those as well. And a marigold, a cosmo, I'm not sure how to say this, astilbe, I think that's how you say it. I don't know, it's just a really kind of furry little flower. It's really, really pretty, really delicate. A morning glory, which I have growing in my backyard. Actually, most of these I have growing in my backyard. Lavender, a dahlia, and a sunflower, and I did a couple other flowers which I don't think these were like real flowers. I think I was just playing around with some designs. And then here's my thistle. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to paint the thistle today. So to get started, I've got my Winsor watercolors. I have a couple different size brushes here. I've got my Princeton velvet touch brushes, and I also have a Grumbacher size 1, 8, and 10. I'll let you know what size I'm using as I'm going along. I have a paper towel and my clean water. All right, so we're only going to be using a couple different colors to achieve this. I think I'm just going to be using probably my sap green, my hooker's green, I think my Prussian blue, and a little bit of my permanent rose. So I think those are the only colors I'm going to be using in this. I might pull in a little bit of yellow to get more of a limey green if I need to, but I'm not sure. So to get started, what you're going to do is I'm going to take my size, let's do the size 8, and I'm going to get a mixture of my green here. I have extra green there. So I'm going to go ahead, this is my sap green, I'm going to go ahead and get a little mixture of my sap green going, which I already had some from a previous painting on my palette already. So I'm just going to reactivate that and get water on here. So another thing, I'm not sure if I ever talked to you about leaving the colors actually on your palette. Watercolors they just get reactivated with water. So to save a little bit of money, if you know that you're going to be using that same color in another painting, you don't need to go ahead and wash off your palette every time you're done with a painting. Just go ahead and leave your colors. You might even find that sometimes mixing this color and that color or whatever's on your palette, all of a sudden you just get this beautiful color. So I normally don't clean my palette very often unless I know that I'm going to be using a certain color and it's not on my palette and I have no room. Then I go ahead and I just take a little water and I just wash off my palette. Otherwise, I usually just leave my colors on there. So this palette here, I've got mostly my cool colors, and then I have another palette over there that has my warm colors. All right, so I'm going to take my sap green, get a nice little wash here. You want it to be really, really light. So I'm going to add a lot of water to this. All right. And then you're going to start out with this like little cone shape, almost like an upside down U. And you're going to fill that in. And you want to kind of round it off at the bottom here. And I think I want mine a little bit lighter than this. I'm going to go ahead and make my stem, and then I'm going to go ahead and lighten it up. So go ahead and make your stem. You can make it as long as you want. And you don't want it to be too thin because it needs to actually look kind of realistic where it looks like it could actually be holding up that flower. So you don't want it too thin. Sometimes I see paintings that the stems are really, really thin, and that is really pretty. I love that look. It's a very stylized look, but I'm going to be going for a little bit more realistic look in this painting, so that's why I am choosing a little bit of a thicker stem, because I want it to look like it actually can hold up that flower. All right, so to make this lighter, I am gonna just wash off my brush, and I'm gonna take just clean water and just go over and take off some of that pigment that I've got on my paper here. Because I don't want this to be dark, not at this point. So I'm just kind of dragging my brush from the top down. I want to bring most of that pigment down here. I'm going to take a little bit of my Prussian blue, and now that my stem is nice and wet, I'm just going to bring a little bit of that blue up my stem. Clean water, and I'm just going to drag it up a little bit. And then drag it back down until you get a look that you like. I just want to add a little bit of blue to the stem just to kind of give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit more interest. Sometimes if you add a little bit of blue or a little bit of yellow to your green, it just adds a little bit more interest to a painting rather than just doing plain green. All right, so I am now going to, I'm going to stick with my size 8, and I'm going to stick with my sap green. And the thistle has all these like little pointy petals coming out. If you actually want to, they are petals. I mean, it's not like your typical flower. This is kind of considered, I know some people consider it a weed. I just planted a whole bunch of sea thistle. I think it's called sea holly thistle in my backyard. It hasn't bloomed yet, but I love it. And this is actually one of my favorite flowers. But I know a lot of people don't consider this a flower. They consider it a weed, but I think it's actually very gorgeous. All right, so the thistle's got all these little pointy petals on the bottom here. So I'm going to take my size 8 sap green and kind of come up and make these little triangular, little pointy petals. If you think you got a little bit too much green on there, bring your green right back down to the center of the bottom of the thistle here. And you can keep bringing them up. Bring up as many as you want. You can even connect some. So maybe like there's a bigger one and it's got a little one connected to it. There's really no rhyme or reason. I'm going in a C motion, a C curve motion. And before that dries, I'm gonna add a little bit of my Prussian blue to this also, because I just wanna get a little bit of blue in my petals here. And maybe even just around the bottom of that cone shape. If you think it's a little too much, again, just with a clean brush, just swipe it through, and you can pick up some of that blue. But I'm gonna leave a lot of that there because I love the look of blue and green together. All right, same thing on the other side. I'm gonna take my sap green and I'm just gonna bring it up. Now I'm a righty, so it's a little bit hard for me to go and swoop this way. Going obviously from left to right is easier for a righty. Going from right to left is a little bit harder. So I'm gonna turn my page just so I can get that nice curvature motion. And again, make them a little bit thicker as they are reaching the bottom of the thistle, a little bit thinner as they go out. And then you can have some branching off from those. You can make as many as you want. All right, I am going to add a little bit of blue to this side as well. I'm just gonna drop that in there, just kind of dropping it in towards the base of those petals and the bottom of that curve of the little cone there. All right, now see how I'm starting? This has dried faster than this because as I was pulling down my paint, when I was picking up some of this green, I was pulling it down. So I pushed all that pigment and water to the base of my little cone here. That's why you're starting to see that this part has dried first because there wasn't that much water, and this is drying last. Now, if there's a little bit of a bloom here where they start to meet, it kind of makes a little bit of a bloom where the wet and the dry meet. If you don't like that, once it dries or even before it completely dries, you can go over it very gently and just get rid of that bloom a little bit, that line there, and just kind of blend it back in. I don't mind the blooms. I love the blooms. I've said this on my channel before. I just find that it gives it an extra little layer, an extra little texture. So I usually leave my blooms. I try not to smooth it out too much because I really do love them. But if you don't like the blooms, then go ahead just gently and just try and mix them in, the wet and the dry together. All right, I am gonna go ahead and make a mixture really quick for the, oh no, you know what I didn't do yet? Was my leaves. So let's go ahead and get our permanent, our sap green again. And we're just gonna come in and we're gonna make these like little C-curve leaves coming out. And they're gonna be a little bit thicker towards the bottom here. And then you can, almost like what we did up here, is you're just gonna branch out some little, they've got little spiky leaves. So just kind of little spikes. And then a little bit thicker as you get to the bottom here. You can make them as big as you want. I'm gonna go ahead and do some on the other side. I'm gonna turn my little book again. And let's do one down here. Bring it down. Get thinner as you go up, and then just make all sorts of little spikes. They can be coming off each other. You can make one or two. And actually, I'll thicken this one up out this way. And I'm gonna put a little bit of that Prussian blue down here as well. Just more towards the base of my leaf. And bring it back down my stem a little bit. All right, you can go ahead and make as many as you want. Maybe I'll make one more. Let's do another one coming out this way. And then bring it up a little bit. And I'll add a little bit of blue to that too. Okay. All right. It's looking good so far. All right, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and dry this, and I'm gonna show you the purpley color, because thistles are kind of a purpley blue. I just wanted to get the undertones of the green in there, but I'm gonna start adding my purpley blue, and I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so to make that purpley blue, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take a little bit of my Prussian blue, and I already had a little bit of that mixture for my other thistles that I had made. I already had a little spot for it, so I'm just going over what I had done already, but I'm gonna show you how I made it. So I'm just taking a little bit of that blue, and I'm gonna go over here to my other palette where I have my permanent rose. Get that wet, bring it over. Blue and red make purple. So we're making a little bit of a purpley color right now. I want it to be a little bit more blue than pink. So I am just gonna keep it a little bit more blue than the pink. All right, make enough on there. You can get it nice and watered down. All right. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pick up my, no, you know what? I'm gonna stick with my size 8. I was gonna move down to my size 1, but not yet. I'm gonna stick with my size 8. All right, so I'm gonna take that purpley color I just made, and I'm gonna kind of go over some of my little thistles that I had just made. Just using the point of my brush. And I'm dabbing it. I'm just making little dots down towards the bottom. Because it's very prickly, and some of those points are coming at you, and the ones that are coming at you, all you see is a little dot. The ones that are on the sides, you're gonna see a little bit of a swoop of a line going either to the right or to the left. These are gonna be going to the left. Some dots here. And then these are gonna be going to the right. And I'm gonna switch over to my smaller brush as we keep going up that cone. But first I wanna keep adding a little bit more to some of these little petals that we had done. I'm gonna bring a little of that purpley color to the petals. And I'm not covering up all my green, but I do want some of it there. Okay. And now I'm going to switch over to my size 1 and pick up that purpley color again. And I'm just going to come in with some smaller little dashes. I'm going to go around my little cone shape here. And then I'm going to bring them in, and I'm just going to keep making them go all the way around. And as I get to the center, they're going to be more of a little dot. Now this is going to dry nice and light. We can always go over this with another layer. I'm not going too dark at this point. And I do want to see some of that green underneath still. So I'm trying not to cover all my green. I'm just going from one side to the other. And as I get to the middle, they're a little bit more like a little dot. Okay. And you want to see that, you want to see the texture of that little line, that little prickly line. You want to see the texture of that on the outside. So bring it past that green that we had done, that green cone we had done at the beginning. Definitely bring that purple past that green little cone, the outline of the green, because you want to see all those little lines. All right, we're going to let that dry for a second. I'm going to fill in a little bit more here where you think you have a little bit too much of that green. Go ahead and fill in a little bit more. I think I want to bring in a little bit of my blue back down. So I'm just picking up my Prussian blue again. And I'm just going to bring a little of that back down into the stem, down towards the bottom. You can even go in and put a little bit in your leaves again. If you feel like you lost a little of that blue in your leaf, go ahead and put a little bit more in there. I'm making these little lines, so you can add a little bit of detail in there if you want, a little bit of veining, or you don't have to. All right. Pretty. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dry this, and we're gonna put another layer of that purple on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my purple again, still using my size 1. I'm gonna add a little bit more to the bottom here of that cone. I just wanna get that color a little bit deeper at the bottom, just to give it a little bit of push, that it's kind of like that's pushed further away and the petals are coming at you. So the petals are gonna be a little bit lighter. I'm just going to go over a little bit of what I had already done. I'm not doing really any new strokes. They're just going over what I already have done, or at least trying to. Because I really do like all that green still showing. I'm going to do a little bit more, I think, towards the edge of the cone here, just to give it a little bit of more of a glow. I'm going to leave the middle here a little bit lighter. Go ahead and turn this again. It's just a little bit easier. If you're a lefty, I'm assuming you're going to have to turn the book the other way. But for a righty, you can just turn your book this way, just to get that little curve. I'm just going to be dotting it in there. So right now you see I have a little bit of an outline going there. You can close up that outline a little bit. Just fill it in, maybe not as tight as you did the first time, but just a little bit here and there. Okay, and I'm gonna go over some of these little petals again. And actually, I think I wanna make some of these stick out even more. So I'm gonna bring these little lines out even more, just to give it another little layer. So you've got like this, you've got the green, you've got the smaller dark lines, purple lines, and now you've got the longer purple lines. So it just gives an extra little detail if you just add like another layer, maybe a little bit longer. Wow, that really made a difference. I just love these plants so much. I can't wait till they start blooming in my garden. All right, turn my book. And if you want to cover up, because I know like the ones that I planted in my garden are supposed to look really nice and purple all on the top here. If you want to cover up a little bit more of that green, you feel like you didn't bring it out so much, go ahead and bring it out. Just go over some of that green you had done. You just want to leave some of that green showing. You don't have to leave that much green showing. Most of the green is down in the petals. I'm sorry, in the leaves. That is really pretty. You know what? I think I'm going to give it another little layer just to give another little dimension, another little push. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I love to push my colors. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this and add another layer. Okay, so I've got my size 1, my color again, my purple mixture, which is the Prussian blue and the permanent rose. I'm just going to go over what I did, just give it another little layer here. Today's the first day that I'm actually really hearing the cicadas outside. I love it. I know there's not a lot of fans of the cicadas out there, but I love them. I'm excited that we're going to be seeing different kinds of cicadas this year. All right, so just go over that. Not too much. I want to leave a little bit lighter in the middle here, just to give it a little bit of a dimension. Pull some of that out. That is really pretty. I think I'm actually going to bring these a little longer on this side. And they're just kind of like little C curves, very slightly, just a little slight of a C curve going up on both sides. And I think I want to cover up a little bit of this green too. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit more blue down here, or purple. There. That is super pretty. One of my favorite plants. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a quick little video on how to paint a thistle. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this one. And you can also make a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the flower. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram if you want even more. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.